Hi, welcome to the Wisdom of Your Soul. I'm your host, Janice Mary, and I'm so happy to be here to talk, as always, about trying to connect to the soul energy that I was so blessed to be able to tap into, and how it has really changed my life and really helped me to expand in ways that I never thought that I could, and really is helping me just to enjoy my life. And I love to share it because it was an amazing experience for me, tapping into this energy and feeling this wave and energy of love that lives within me and lives within everybody. And really, when you get really good at tapping into it, you can feel it more and more, and you can have the tools that you need to move away from the ego if the ego is giving you a hard time. If the ego is being very critical with you, bringing up things that you should be doing or what should be happening in your life, and not helping you to see who you truly are and the gift that you truly are and the life that you could have if you could spend more time in this energy, in this gift. It would change your life as well. Before I had this spiritual experience where I had this experience of very dramatically tapping into this energy, knowing that something very significant happened. Before that experience, I think I just used to fight with my ego, knowing that this part of me was very harsh, and very hard on me. And I just thought that was who I was. And I thought this voice was something that I had to live up to, and that this voice had some credibility, and I think many of my clients and many people do think that if something comes into your mind, if you start thinking in a negative way about yourself, how do you challenge that, and how do you not believe that? If it's coming into my mind, it's coming into my mind for a reason. And if I'm getting stuck on it, I'm living in that energy of criticism or put downs or, all those kind of things. And that's not an easy place to live. And so for many, many years, I was trying to live up to the ego and feeling very anxious and, as many do, never really fully living up to what the ego wants us to do, because the ego is insatiable, and the ego always wants us to do more and more and more, and not less and less. This other energy that lives within us actually wants us to take a break. This energy wants us to work less and, kind of go within and feel the gift that you are. And when we do that, we become very productive and we rejuvenate ourselves. I did a post last week on rejuvenation, and when I connect to this energy and I hear the messages, rejuvenation is a good one, because we all could use to be rejuvenated. And if you're spending any time in the ego, you're not, you're being worn out. You're not being rejuvenated. And the ego is tiring. It's not life-giving. You may think it's helping you, by being critical and being demanding, but it really isn't. It's really wearing you out and stressing you out and making you feel not good enough and telling you to do things that maybe you don't even have to do. You don't have to be as productive as this ego wants us to be, unless you choose to, and unless you really love to do whatever it's suggesting. Then there's no conflict there. So when you're in the soul energy, when you really tap into the soul energy and you just give yourself even 5 minutes of trying to say, okay, I'm just going to tune down the ego voice. I'm just going to, like on a radio or the TV, I'm just going to mute it for a little bit, and I'm just going to go within, and I'm just going to try to feel this energy that lives within me, and you'll feel it. And for me, it's like a vibration. I can feel this vibration that's going up and down in my body, and that's how I kind of know I'm connected to it. When I write my posts, I connect to it. When I talk to you here, I try to connect to it and just talk from that place, because that place is not a place where the ego is. And it's refreshing and it's life-giving and it's helpful. I think it's helped me in my life tremendously, and has made the quality of my life so much better, because I know that the ego's voice isn't the only voice. It is the voice that does speak first, usually, but I know that it is generally a voice of a very narrow perspective. And the soul's voice is a greater perspective. So it's almost like a microscope. When we look at something under a slide, it's a very wide perspective of a very small amount. The soul is not under a microscope. Your soul energy is a huge perspective. So you get to see your side in things, you get to see other people's side in things, you get to understand things from many, many perspectives, because you're not just using the microscope of the ego. You're using all of your perspectives. And a spiritual perspective is a very wide perspective, because you can feel the connectedness to other people. So this wide perspective is going to help you to understand where you fit in, and what would bring you the most satisfaction in your life. Spiritual gifts, like law of attraction and other gifts, talk a lot about abundance and, becoming rich and all these things. And if that's something that is your passion, then you can certainly work on that. But it's interesting that the more you listen to your soul and the consciousness of who you are, you kind of get to know yourself better. And you get to see, well, what is it that I really truly want to do? I don't really have to do anything. The ego would say you do have to work very hard. And the soul would say you can work, but just take it easy as you're working. So the soul's perspective is one of compassion, is one of love. And you feel that when you're in this energy. You will feel that. So instead of trying to convince yourself to like yourself, instead of trying to convince yourself to love yourself, you just feel this love that lives within you. And it's really not that difficult to tap into it. You can just do a meditation for 5 minutes and ask. I was listening to an Abraham Hicks video the other day, and the first thing that she does say is ask. That's the first thing. She says if you want to consult with your inner being, first you have to ask. And I always hear that, because even though I have this energy and I have this ability to go into the soul energy, if I don't ask for another perspective, I could let the ego just run its course. And I could get caught up in the ego. I could get caught up in all the things that I used to get caught up in. And it really helps you for that not to happen. So detaching from the ego is not the easiest thing in the world, and you need a lot of tools to detach from it. Once you really hit into the soul energy, the tools don't have to be quite so apparent. Like, I don't find that I need them as much as I did in the beginning, because my ego was relentless and it was very difficult to detach from those thoughts. I really had to feel this energy to help me move out of those thoughts. And I know a lot of people that read my posts are having some of those issues too, because a couple of people commented that it's not easy to get out of the ego and it's not easy to get out of those thoughts. And I agree. I have spent many, many years trying to get out of those ego thoughts, knowing on some level that if the things that I'm thinking is hurting me, how is that helpful? It's just logical. So as a therapist, I knew that the thoughts that I would get stuck on that hurt me, how is that helpful? That is not helpful at all. And there's tons of psychological techniques to challenge your thoughts and to get out of them, and they help, and they really help. But you also need another way to talk to yourself, and you need a new dialogue, and you need affirmations, and you need things to replace what the ego has been telling you your whole life. And the affirmations can come from the soul energy if you just allow them to come to you. So if you're having any issue and the ego is speaking and you're starting to feel bad, then that's the time that you could say, all right, let me just put on a meditation for 5 minutes. Let me take a deep breath. I know how the ego wants to handle the situation, and now I want to hear the second opinion. I want to hear from this energy that lives inside of me that is wise beyond anything, that's connected to everyone in this world. Let me try to reach for this magnificent energy that really is mine and is my gift. Why wouldn't you want to try to do that? And it's funny that we have to coax ourselves away from the ego. We really do have to say, I'll get back to you. It's okay, I'll get back to you, but let me just do this for 5 minutes. So say if you're having a problem today, I would suggest just trying it. If something is running in your mind, you're worried about something, say you're worried about, the election, or you're worried about, your kids, or whatever it is, what the ego is saying. The ego is saying all this scary stuff. So you want a broader perspective from the soul, because the soul will give you a completely different take on things, and also is very comforting and will comfort you at the same time. So basically that's how it goes. If you have some kind of an issue, that the ego talks first, and that we have to ask. We really have to ask for the second opinion, because we're so connected to the ego, because, we're here as human beings. We're so connected to the ego. It's easy for us to consult with the ego. It's easy for us to go that route. Connecting to our inner being, to our soul, to our consciousness is more spiritual. So we're going within. We're closing our eyes. We're shutting out the world to some extent, just for a little while, so that you can reach deep within inside of yourself and hear, that soft voice. The soul is not loud, and the soul is not demanding. The soul is just love. So if you ever found yourself where you were meditating and you just start to feel better, you just start to feel more peaceful as your body relaxes, you just start to feel good in that state. That's why that happens. You're starting to connect to that energy, to that consciousness when you're in those meditative states. When the ego isn't present, your soul is. And that's when you can ask questions, and that's when you can benefit from hearing from your soul energy. That's the best time to do it, So we have these two options. We have the ego option and we have the soul option. And the soul option has completely changed my life for the better. And I continue to try to help people connect to it themselves. First, really by understanding that what the ego has to say to you is really generally hurtful. So if the ego is saying something hurtful to you, that instantly we know that we don't deserve to be hurt. And then if we're engaging with the ego, if we're talking back to the ego, because we have conversations with ourselves, trying to, soothe the ego in that way, and that's not working, that's when it's time to move away from the whole system, this whole ego system. That's not where we're going to find the answer to our problems. So when we pull away from all of that, and you might notice that if you have a problem, you have an issue, and then something happens, you forget about it, and then all of a sudden the answer to the problem comes to you. That's why you're using more of that intuitive ability. You're using more of your consciousness, more of your inner being. And your inner being just has so much more abundance to share with you. An abundance of ideas, an abundance of love, an abundance of information, an abundance of knowledge of it in a different way, in a different type. And you deserve to feel that. You deserve to feel all that good stuff, because it feels so much better. I try to spend as little time in my ego as possible, and it's fun. It's just so much fun, and it's not like I'm doing like crazy things in the middle of COVID. No, I'm just having a very simple life. But when you have peace, that's priceless. When you have peace of mind, that's priceless. When you're relaxed more than you are uptight, that's priceless. When you realize the value of you, and you just have a understanding of yourself, that's priceless. And highly recommended. It's just a beautiful gift to give yourself while you're here. When we pass on into spirit, you'll feel it, and you'll have all the gifts when we all leave this world, but you can have them now. And so it's just a beautiful way to live your life. And there isn't a lot of anxiety in it, because there's not a lot of pressure, because you don't feel like you have to be a human doing anymore. You're just a human being. And it helps you to embrace your humanness. It helps you to embrace all your issues and all your thoughts and all your feelings with love. So it doesn't make you a perfect person, but it makes you a compassionate person to yourself. So if I'm struggling with eating too much, that I have compassion for myself. If I'm struggling with fear, then I have compassion for myself. And it's always in the background. It's always in the background. It's almost like having this beautiful angel watching over you. And when you need to get that support and love, you just kind of look over and they're there helping you. And that's very different than the ego. It's a beautiful experience to feel this energy of who you really are, and it just will quiet down your life in the most beautiful way, and help you to get to know yourself in a very deep way, and help you to live in the moment, and also will help you to figure out, well, what is it that I do want to do with my life since I'm here. For me, it's always teaching and helping people, and helping people release the ego, because that's what really took me the longest time to do, was to really release and detach from the ego. And I've spent so many years trying to live up to this ego, and so many years of being miserable and not feeling good enough, and all that is just gone. It's just not here anymore. And I want that for you without having to do it through all the many years. If I had known 20 years ago what I know now, I would have loved that, but it is what it is. So that's why I like to teach this, so that you don't have to go through all those years of blindly listening to this ego that makes no sense and just wants to put us down, and it just lives in the world. You don't want that for yourself. You want something bigger and grander, and your soul energy will help you to do what you truly, truly want to do, and your soul energy somehow magically opens doors for you. Life becomes very, very easy, and you have all that you need, and you begin to treat yourself in a very different way. And when you're treating yourself in that different way, you treat other people in a very different way. And that's the gift, that you give yourself, and then you give to other people that are around you and live with you. That you're no longer, letting your ego, dictate to them. That you really come now from this soul-centered place with everyone around you. And it's easy to be compassionate, and it's easy to be kind, and it's easy to see people that are struggling and wanting to just help them, and knowing that if you can't, that they'll get there at some point. That we don't have to deplete ourselves in trying to help people either. So give this a shot today. Especially in these crazy times right now. It's nice to pull back from the world. I try to stay off of Facebook, and I try to stay off of social media as much as I possibly can, because I can see the effect it has on me, even when I do it a little bit. And I just try to live in the day, and that is so, so helpful. And then connect into this energy. When I remind myself to just connect into this beautiful energy, it's really all I've ever wanted, and all I really ever need is in this energy. And you will find that too when you do that. So remember, the ego always speaks first and loudest. And if you're starting your day, or if you're in your day and you're just starting to feel bad, you know who's got your attention. And just know that there's this other energy inside of you that wants to tell you a completely different story, that wants to share with you the magic of you and your being, and all that you have to offer everyone around you. And that is an amazing, amazing gift. So give yourself this gift of the second opinion, and ask your soul energy, detach any way you can from the ego. It's not true. Whatever it's saying to you, it's not true. And the more you can detach from it and do something that you love to do, the easier it gets and the better your life gets. And it just becomes a really amazing life. So as always, if you'd like to shoot me any questions, any comments, you can reach me at janismart40@yahoo.com, and I would love to talk to you and help you. So have a beautiful day, and the next time we talk, we will have a new president, or maybe the same president. I'm not sure, so we'll see what happens. And I just wish everybody peace in this transition. So have a beautiful week, and we'll talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.